we're back, and we are just doing a horror review outside of Spooky of the Week. This is not attached to Spooky of the Week, and most of the people that clicked on this probably aren't subscribed anyway, so everything we're saying makes no fucking sense to anybody but us. But we're back, and we are talking about The Exorcist Believer, the newest film in the Exorcist franchise saga, really, cinematic universe.
It's the 6th film in the Exorcist series.
I will say it is my favorite Exorcist movie I've watched so far.
Wow, Keegan's just jumping in with his thoughts.
I told...
I cannot let this ruse go on long enough. He's only seen that one. He's not seen the other ones. His opinion would be different if he had seen the other ones.
His opinion would
be different. It would be different.
It'd be different, I swear.
Yeah, I like it even more.
You sound very unsure of that, dude. Do you have that much faith in Keegan that you could say without a doubt?
Without a doubt. I
would say without a doubt, any of the other ones would be above this one, though. Like, I would think one of them Keegan would like more, at least.
Keegan's mind may be poisoned, but it can't be poisoned that much to the point where this movie that is total crap.
He would do it as a bit to annoy us.
Yeah, just to annoy us.
I don't think that he is capable.
And I know he doesn't like good movies, but it's like, this isn't even a fun bad movie.
No.
Well, it's like why I like the Magnificent Seven remake over Seven Samurai. What? It's just more modern, dude.
Not even.
Are you talking about hashtag Mag?
Yeah, he's talking about hashtag Mag 7. Not even the original Magnificent Seven. He's saying, I like the
hashtag Mag 7. The
I like
hottest
the
movie of
Denzel
2016
Washington one better than Seven Samurai. Not even Denzel Washington thinks that. Yeah, and Ethan Snake. First things first.
First things first, yes. Well, yeah, first things first, because we do have to go in chronological order. This
First things first.
Yeah, I'm fired up, I'm riled up, something like that. Fired up, I'm riled up. I got something in my head. Ooh.
You guys know the lyrics better than me.
Something in my head. I've never listened to that song in its entirety just by itself.
On purpose?
Not on purpose, no. No, I don't even think accidentally. I'm always leaving Walmart when I hear it.
First things.
I will stay longer to hear the entire
So you've already checked out. You can't go buy more things. I must.
I haven't gotten my last things last.
Last things fucking last. And then I go back into the store.
Last year, we all watched the entirety of the modern 2018 to 2022 Halloween saga, written and directed by David Gordon Green and collaborators. And that was a very fun experience. None of the movies were fun.
Hack fraud.
But we had fun.
Where was the final one? Is it
Kills is the one where they say evil dies tonight, which is funny. I do like evil dies tonight. Ends is the one that we like and Kevin hates.
Yeah.
Yeah. David Gordon Green, he's not a good filmmaker, and it was baffling at the end of that movie that it was baffling at the end of each movie.
That he still has a career.
That he still has a career. He's still getting movies. And like it was baffling at the end of Kills that he got Ends still. Like they didn't fire him up from Ends after Kills.
What, did it make money?
I don't know.
Kills, not that much because it was one of those COVID streaming
yeah.
and...
Oh. Same thing with Ends though, right?
Same thing with Ends, that also did not make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But 2018 made $1 billion.
Yeah.
It probably cost them $15 to make though.
It was writing on the
Universal
scene.
was like, guys, we know what we're doing. We got Halloween, we did make money doing that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna spend all of our money. Did you say all? I said all. We're spending all of it on a big franchise. Oh wow, what are you guys gonna get? You gonna get something cool like, I don't know.
The Incredible Hulk?
The Incredible, that's what, yeah. No, we're gonna get The Exorcist. You know, that franchise that nobody has liked since the 70s when the first one came out. We're gonna get that one.
People probably don't.
Okay, well, as long as you don't spend too much for it, $400 million.
It's okay. I've already sent them the check. I wrote it. I got a really good deal. I gave them the rest of our money.
That's $400
Our
million.
bank accounts are empty. Also, your stocks are gone too. So like you don't have any money left.
And your house.
And your house.
And your family.
Was the budget actually 400 mil?
No, literally $400 million on the rights.
On the rights.
And then they spent like I think 20 million,
which is good. They shouldn't spend too much on the movie itself. They spent like 25 million or something.
And then they made a movie with an exorcism in it where the worst parts of it tie to the original Exorcist.
Fun fact: there is not an exorcism in this movie.
No, there's not. an exorcist in the movie.
I think that the stuff that he does in his movies are so bafflingly stupid that just trying to figure out what that moron was thinking while writing things.
It's a game.
It's
It
like,
really
yeah,
is. You have to figure out like, oh, were they being serious? I don't know.
And he has these stupid little David Gordon Green quirks that are just so funny to me, where it's like every scene has to be two people bickering and then they die. Like that's literally every scene that he writes is you get two quirky characters. One of them is berating the other for being quirky. They drop peanut butter on their penis.
Oh, man. I got peanut butter on my penis.
I'm missing dance class for this, and sometimes I'd rather do that than hunting.
Your very own peanut butter and jelly banh mi sandwich.
You don't know how to fly that thing. Give me that controller. They communicate the precise location by shaking their butts.
What is in that honey?
And then
It
they
has to be
get
edited
killed.
by a man with a machete.
And then and so there's all these
See,
little
it's a
things.
tease, dude. It's a tease. Things to
Okay,
come.
that's a tease.
There's all
Sounds
these
like things
little
to come, dude.
fun things about his movies. And so when The Exorcist Believer was announced, I was like, that is perfect. Because The Exorcist might be the single worst franchise for David Gordon Green to handle. Like, if I
You
made
could have given it to so many other people.
I wouldn't trust him
better
with
track
any
record.
franchise.
But at least with Halloween Kills, it's like those are already dumb movies with a dumb franchise behind it.
Yeah,
You know?
it's all like you can't hurt it much more. Just somehow he found a way, but it's hard to hurt it more than it already has.
Yeah, 'cause
Exorcist.
there's like 15 movies of Halloween. Exorcist has
Right.
very few, and most people don't even know it's a franchise.
Most people haven't even seen those other ones. So like this would be a lot of people's first Exorcist sequel. You know what I mean? I was very, very angry when I heard that they were giving him the rights to make his own Exorcist movie. I was so angry. Like I was pissed. I was like, I hope you know that you are throwing it entirely in the trash. Like there is not going to be a single good thing about it. I hope you know that.
We could give it to David Gordon Green, or we could throw it into the sun.
I think it would have been better
Let's
off in the
give
sun.
it
It had a higher chance of surviving in the sun. They announced that, honestly, even before Ends came out, they announced that. And I was like, it's going to be garbage. It's going to be. There's no way. And that was before Ends. And I was like, he's already fucking up something so simple like Halloween. You cannot even begin to be like, oh, I can make a movie as good as William Friedkin can make, or William Peter Blatty can make. It's like, you're just saying, oh, I can do that. David Gordon Green is not good enough to make anything.
You know what David Gordon Green does have, though? One of the softest mouths in Hollywood.
It's got a soft
He's
mouth.
got a
dude.
very
I
soft
bet those
mouth.
teeth come out, dude. They call him the Granny in Hollywood.
I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, okay, if I didn't know David Gordon Green's name was on this, I might be like, okay, there's a chance they could do something interesting here. But the problem is I do know his name's on it. And so I was like, no, it's going to be misleading. They're showing any remotely good thing in the trailer that they have.
Yeah.
It's going to be trash.
I would also add that the trailer itself, and this applies to the movie, it didn't look like an Exorcist movie. It looked like one of those movies that's a knockoff of an Exorcist movie, like the Exorcism of the Hill or the Exorcism of Jessica Blank.
I was gonna say, what's that one called? The Last
The
Exorcism.
Exorcism of Emily Rose is one.
But there's like a billion movies.
The Last Exorcist.
The Last Exorcist. The Last Exorcism.
Last
2.
Exorcism is found footage.
Of course it is.
Last thing is that they did not use the song "Believer" by Imagine Dragons
In the trailer.
in the trailer,
I
which
call
is,
it Believer then.
which is a dramatic missed opportunity.
Yeah.
I hope they find they hope they use it in future sequels.
Going in, I knew it was going to be my favorite Exorcist movie. Honestly, it reminded me a lot of kind of like The Force Awakens and Halloween, where it's like it's going to be a soft reboot.
Legacy sequel.
Going into it, did you know that like legacy characters were going to be in it? Like I don't remember how much of that they showed in the trailers.
So they didn't
you,
show any.
Did you know who those characters were?
I have fairly good knowledge of the original Exorcist. I've never watched it. I know the pretty broad strokes of most of it.
It doesn't even bother me anymore. It doesn't. It doesn't.
I don't know why it's more annoying / insulting to me that he knows the plot and he hasn't watched it, but for some reason that's just like
So like I knew that
Like it's been spoiled for him.
I've been detached, dude. I like my hairs are cut. That's it. I'm not tied to him anymore.
I was expecting it to basically be a shittier remake of the original. When I saw like from the trailers it was going to be 2 girls possessed instead of 1, I'm like, oh, they've won a
Double the exercising.
That's already better.
That's not a bad.
No, it's not.
It's
a bad
not even
idea
a bad
at all.
concept.
There are good concepts in there.
But here's the thing: it's gonna be a soft reboot.
Yeah.
So they're gonna follow the formula for
gonna
the
do the
first one,
exact
but
same thing.
worse.
Yeah.
Except they're gonna have 2 because they can try to pretend. It's
That is actually the best way of describing this movie. It is a shot-for-shot remake of The Exorcist. If every shot in The Exorcist was made by a moron, and like every bad decision that could be made was made, like the beats are all there, but it's like at every step of the way they made the worst possible decision.
They didn't understand what was effective about the original Exorcist that I've never watched.
Keegan can he just knows that they didn't
This
understand
is
it.
rich. Hey, this is saying a lot, though. This is why we told Keegan that it was fine that he hadn't seen The Exorcist, because his thoughts are pure here.
Yeah, Keegan's our control.
If he's saying it's not going to hold up to the original Exorcist and he hasn't seen it, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I just walked in knowing it was going to be a soft reboot. They weren't going to understand what was effective about the original. It's my favorite.
Sam Slade, thoughts going in?
I did not rewatch Exorcist going into it because it didn't matter. It wasn't going to enhance.
It wasn't going to change anything.
It wasn't going to enhance my experience or really make it worse. It was just like I already knew what I was in for.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
David Gordon Green's literally the worst person for that, and they shouldn't even be making any more Exorcist movies. Like, there's no point in doing that. There shouldn't have been any, like, besides Exorcist 3, which is just a miracle that movie's good.
Exorcist 3 shouldn't even be an Exorcist sequel.
Exactly, but like all the other ones, I haven't even seen them. I'm just like, why is The Exorcist even a franchise? There's literally no point. Yeah. Like the movie doesn't make sense to be a franchise.
It's a perfectly told story that's confined in this.
Like, why make a sequel
nice
to
box with a bow?
Why make a sequel to 12 Angry Men? Like,
or There Will Be Blood.
Or There Will Be
13
Blood.
Angry Men.
Yeah, 13 Angry Men.
13 Angry Men. Now there's a 13th juror.
There was more evidence that they haven't looked at, and then they come back to the thing.
They come back to the
Don't
thing.
be silly. It's a new case and it's all the same jurors.
That would be pretty funny to bring back. So 12 Angry Men.
Not this guy again.
12 Angry Men. There's new evidence. It's set 50 years later.
And it's the opposite. They're all like, I'm convinced he's innocent, and Henry Fonda's like, no, I think this motherfucker's guilty.
And here's why.
And here's why.
I was literally going to say that.
He takes out 2 knives. 13 Angry Men.
He put those knives in my back.
Are any of the actors from 12 Angry Men still alive? Like, could you do a C-boot where it's the same premise, but one of the jurors is one of the people from 12 Angry Men?
I don't think any of them are alive. Are they alive?
There
You can
might
CGI
be
their
one
faces
or
on
two.
people.
There might be 1 or 2.
Well,
anyways, but those are my final. Those are not final thoughts. Those are my.
That's it. You're done.
My first things
last things last.
My first thoughts of Exorcist Believer is I honestly did not even want to see it. It was just like, because we were doing this video, I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
And as the movie started and was going, I was like, this isn't even like, why am I here? I paid money to watch this.
Why am I here?
Well, to me, David Gordon Green was the thing that made this, I don't want to say worth watching, but like worth even talking about, because I going into it, like I said, I was just like, oh, the stupid stuff that he does is so uniquely stupid that it's so perfectly not fitting for an Exorcist movie that I thought the results would end up being more funny than they were. Yeah, where it's just like...
I agree. I figured this movie was going to have a bunch of embarrassing comedy.
Yeah.
Part of me hoped, and honestly, after it's over, I kind of wished there was some, because then I wouldn't be as bored.
Because this is like the weirdest dig I can have at this movie, is that it's like, it doesn't even feel like a David Gordon Green movie. You know, like, it's not even bad.
It does. The editing does for me.
The editing does. Well, yeah, he definitely got the same editor, for sure.
Yeah.
But like,
well, the guy still had the machete.
Yeah, he still had the same machete, the maniac.
He just rolls the footage down a hallway
It just acts that he uses whatever he wants.
there's only one scene that really had the trademark David Gordon Green, like, Bond Me dialogue, which was when they were talking about the ice creams.
You eat it, I'm not eating meat anymore.
Talking about? That was that documentary you watched, right? Give you bad dreams, like I told you it would?
Poor little piggies.
Because that's the only way David Gordon Green can introduce characters and have them like build a relationship, as they talk about food that they like.
His characters, he's like, they need to be 3-dimensional. but I only know two-dimensional. So I'm gonna make two-dimensional really hard.
Yes.
It's just so hard. He's a photographer, and it's like, why? He likes to take pictures. Okay, but what does that do for the plot? He takes pictures, and now you know he takes pictures.
She can look at pictures of her mom, and it's like, okay, but anyone would have pictures.
You know,
No, see, but he took pictures, and that's part of his character is that he takes pictures.
Okay, fine. He looks at pictures, and then they're fucking spooky for a second, and then it never comes back.
But it's not relevant to his character. It doesn't matter that he's a photographer. It doesn't change anything about him. It doesn't change anything about the way he like interacts with the story. Like you can take that element out, and it doesn't change a single thing.
His character is the same.
Yes.
You could cut all the scenes out where he has a camera in his hands, and it wouldn't change the
So
movie.
it opens up. The first shot.
Second thing second.
Second thing second is the first shot. It's just a shot of these dogs fighting because they do that in The Exorcist. The priest in the beginning, spoilers.
This is the best reference they have to the original in that it's the least.
It annoyed the crap out of me. There's a shot in The Exorcist, just to explain it to you and well, just you. I was going to say other people that haven't seen The Exorcist, but
he's the last one.
The Exorcist in the film has this really bad feeling because he found this little relic, this artifact, that reminds him of a demon that he's encountered before. So he becomes super nervous. None of this is told to you. Like, he never says that he feels nervous, but it's all depicted through, like, he is acting and cinematography, atmosphere,
direction,
filmmaking. And he sees this big statue of this demon, and he's just staring at it, and it's just like the droning music's playing. It's a great scene, and then it's almost a jump scare. You just hear it cuts to these two dogs fighting. It's really offsetting because they're stray dogs. Clearly, they're fighting to the death, and it's just really conveying this atmosphere of hopelessness and like the violence. And then this movie does the same thing, except it's the first shot, and there's no reason it's there. It's just dogs barking, and then chink, he's taking pictures, and then the two owners of the dogs are like, hey, stop fighting. No, because we can end this amicably if we tell them to stop. Like, the message is completely...
No, band together and make these two dogs stop.
If we band together, like, immediately I was just like...
that's called foresight. Good job, David Gordon.
Good job.
You did
right off the bat, I was like, that's a reference in, like, I don't know how intentional, like, my reading of it is. Like, where, like, I don't know if David Gordon Green's actually trying to say you can just pull the tension apart of this movie, or that, like, the threat is easily dismantled by two people saying stop. But, like, it just felt like the biggest slap in the face after just watching The Exorcist, comparing two...
I think it was a complete accident. I don't think he even knew there was that dog shot in the first Exorcist, and he happened to get another shot of two dogs fighting.
I'm actually not sure he's seen The Exorcist. I'm not gonna lie.
I honestly don't.
I think someone told him.
I think jury's out.
They're like, she's the mom. Oh.
Jury's out?
So fun fact.
Who?
I didn't tell you guys this because I didn't want you to be jealous. I was the film consultant on The Exorcist Believer.
So you were just telling David Gordon Green. Keegan, master plot, just to get it out of the way, can you explain the plot of The Exorcist Believer?
So there's a husband and wife, and they're visiting Haiti where an earthquake happens, and the pregnant wife is mortally injured, and the husband has to choose between either saving the baby or the wife.
It's a difficult choice. We cannot save them both.
Cut forward to the husband now with his daughter. She's in high school or middle school, I couldn't tell. She and another girl go into the woods and they get possessed by Pazuzu or some other demon.
It has to be Pazuzu, right? Because...
Well, they called it The Exorcist, like, so it's part of the franchise, so I assume it has to be Pazuzu.
No, Pazuzu's not the only demon, because like in Exorcist 3, it's not Pazuzu specifically. They literally say that they know Pazuzu, like they're friends. It has to be Pazuzu because what's her name is like, I know this demon.
Yeah.
We have fought before.
We've met before.
She knows who I am.
I assume it's Pazuzu.
You didn't fight shit, you old bitch.
Well, they didn't let me, you see, because of the patriarchy.
If it was...
It's because I'm not a member of the damn patriarchy.
If they wanted to be really funny about it, she's like, we've met before. I've licked this demon's cunt.
See, that would have been something because at least the movie would be pushing it hard. Like, because to me, the biggest problem, not biggest problem, one of the bigger problems for this movie where I was like, well, this is
There's
like...
a lot of big problems.
There's a lot of big problems.
It's ain't the biggest.
Is like, the first Exorcist is so shocking. Like, it's there's so much like vulgarity, so much violence, and so much like gross out stuff that happens that you're just like, man, this is a messed up movie because of it. This movie now in 2023 should have free range to do even like push the envelope even further.
This movie would not have been shocking in 1973.
Exactly.
No.
It would have been boring in 1973, just like it would have been now.
So you might be thinking that Sam Slade and company, we've completely interrupted Keegan from explaining the plot.
No, that was
he's
where
basically explained the.
That is it.
Oh,
and they come back and they're possessed.
They come back, and then they get rid of the demons. They don't perform an exorcism.
That's third things third.
That's third
thing third. Yeah, dude. Third thing third.
I guess Sam Slade, general thoughts, anything you want to get out. I know I have specific topics I want to cover.
I'm fine just going into topics. My general thoughts is this movie sucks and don't watch it.
This movie sucks cock. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not more shocking than the original Exorcist. There's no point in this movie ever being made. There was thoughts in my head going, are we in the right movie? Is this even an Exorcist movie? Like, is this a horror movie?
It could have just been like.
Is this just a movie called The Possessed?
You know, build up is build up, like whatever. I was sitting there just being like, when is like anything gonna happen? Where are the guns?
Where are the guns?
Like, there's almost nothing going on for a lot of it, and to the point where I was like, is this even gonna be about like demons possessing people or anything like that? The point where I was like really like, okay, this is terrible was like I was already bored. I thought that sequence where he starts taking the pictures of the family was really horribly edited. And it's pointless, and I'm just like, why do they have
Kevin
scenes
and
like
I,
that?
the entire fucking movie, we're sitting there from the first scene.
Like from the first scene,
like,
we were like,
why did that cut happen? Why is this cut happen?
And yeah,
Where could they be? Hey, listen up. That's what we need to worry about. I know you're all upset.
But until that point, and since that point, I was like, this movie is edited so terribly. The editor is trying to destroy this movie. Like they are doing a terrible job.
I'm not joking. There is a point higher of this movie if it's better edited.
Yes.
1 full point higher. It would still be a failing grade, but it would be a whole point higher.
So beyond that, it then hits the point where it's like, this is the Exorcist moment. This is the movie. It's going to be about exorcism or whatever. Lady from Hereditary, and she's like, you know that this is actually about, it's not mental illness or anything.
She has
like
some
that.
of the worst lines in the entire movie.
Yeah, I don't even want to blame her because I feel like they give her so much filth in
Well,
this movie.
like I've seen her in other stuff. She is a phenomenal actress. And she has all the worst lines in this.
I cannot.
With all due respect, Father, what do you expect us to do?
She has the mic drop moment in the movie, though. She has the scene that's like, you know what you thought, and you know this tension that we've been building in the movie? Here's the moment that you're just like, oh, this is messed up. Now we know what we're in for. This is the horror. Because she goes and she's like, oh, she referenced my real name or my nun name or whatever. She referenced this. Nobody knows that. How would that person, how would she know that this is real?
Sister Mary Xavier, she said, and she knew what happened to my baby. I never told anyone what name I had chosen.
That's a good moment.
So, that's a good moment. If the movie was good, that would be a good moment. And then the Exorcism movie, music starts coming in, and he looks up what's her face from the original one, and you're like, oh snap, is the movie gonna start? And then the movie gets actually way worse. From that moment on.
Yeah, no, when you hear the Exorcist theme, you should be like covering your eyes. I was about
being
to get
tricked
worse.
because I was like, that's a good mic drop moment. And then she looks up, or he looks up the original Exorcist girl, and you're seeing where she's coming from and what she's been up to.
Yeah.
And she wrote a book or whatever, and you're kind of like, oh snap, now we're gonna tie this new movie with the old movie that I know, and now it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, actually that old movie's going to make this movie even worse somehow. It was already at a 1, and now it's at a negative 10.
They introduce old Exorcist lady.
And she's like, I'm gonna make this movie bad and the movie I was in bad.
It's because I'm not a member of the damn patriarchy.
Writing legacy characters apparently is the hardest thing in the fucking world because every single person that does it seems like they're incapable, except for Sam Raimi, because he kept writing the same character the entire time.
That is a good point, yeah.
Ash is a great example, actually, because I've heard people say, like, oh, why do they always have to make them for shells of their former self? And I'm like, well, guess what? Old people are lame.
And they are shells of
the lame, like, I'm not even, like...
That's not something I'm afraid of.
Yeah, but
it's
when you
different for
watch
each character.
When you watch videos about people complaining about that, that's like the biggest thing that I feel like I hear is people
Why
be
are
like,
they so old and sad and regretful?
Wow, why is Indiana Jones not, why are women not throwing themselves at him anymore? Like, that just doesn't make sense. He's still sexy.
He is a pile of bones in a bag of skin.
And I'm like, that's not the problem with this one specifically is they bring her back. The worst ones all do this. Their entire life up until this point has been revolving around the plot of the movie.
One thing that happened a lot.
And it's like, oh, so wait, their entire
They're
life,
sad and they drink.
Yeah, they're sad and they drink because all they do is think about the plot of the first movie that they were in. and she has written a book, which I know people before
Also,
us
things work out great for that character.
It was a subversion because she's not a shell of her former self. It's the opposite. She's written a book and she's become famous, and for some reason she's not talking to Reagan anymore.
Reagan's not happy about the fact she wrote the book.
She's also has no idea where Reagan is or if she's alive.
Also, remember at the end of the first movie when she was like, I don't want my daughter to fucking know that this happened and I don't want her to talk about it, like, so please leave her alone. Just kidding, I'm gonna write a book about it because the whole world needs to know.
No, that does happen.
It would make so much more sense if Reagan was the person that wrote the book.
Yeah.
Like if one of those two characters had to write a book, Reagan makes so much more fucking sense.
But Linda Blair didn't want to be in the movie as much.
I don't blame her.
Well, she'll be in
shot.
Deceiver.
No, dude,
The Exorcist Deceiver,
it's gonna be
clear.
called The Exorcist Thunder. When she gets introduced and they start tying it to the original Exorcist is when it becomes absolutely unforgivable.
They tie it to
They
tie it to the Exorcist, and then they give her the worst line in modern.
Worse scenes too, but like, yeah, she gives it.
It starts off okay. Literally, the roller coaster is like exactly with each little word. So she's like, I wasn't in the room, and I was like, oh, that's like totally true. She did not witness the exorcism. That's an interesting thing to bring up.
It was
like
because of their patriarchy.
and then he goes, oh really? She's like, yeah, why not? And I'm like, oh, this is a good time for her to say something like,
because it fucks you up.
Because I was afraid.
Yeah, like it fucks you up, right? Like there's all these horrible things. Like just because I wasn't in the room doesn't mean I wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I didn't experience it. And then she goes,
she could even say that those two men died in that room. Like if
that
I
would have been me too.
It's like two men who were completely qualified to do it perished in that room. I would have died. But she goes, my opinion, because I wasn't a member of the fucking patriarch. Bitch.
And we all turned to each other and we're just like, yeah, fuck those guys.
We're like, fuck those two guys that gave their goddamn lives to save your daughter's soul.
Those guys were two loser men.
They were sexist. Fuck them. They should have died.
They were men.
I kind of see where the intention
those guys suck cocks in hell
of that line might be, is that if you were smart and you wanted to craft a criticism of the Catholic Church, it is literally a patriarchy. Outside of the modern joke about patriarchies, the Catholic Church is by definition a patriarchy. So if you wanted to make a movie a criticism about their structure and about how they operate, and maybe that structure was a hindrance at some point or is a hindrance now, a line like that could make sense. The problem is that that line is in The Exorcist fucking Believer, and none of those ideas are present, and it's just, it makes no fucking sense.
Be in that scene.
It poisons the movie. Sam Slade said that there should never be a sequel to The Exorcist, and I believe that. I'm also a sequel apologist. So, but here's what I will say. Is that there is a way, and people have done it.
It's called The Exorcist 3.
What you get is, The Exorcist 3 is a good example. But even outside, if you just take consider one of the best movies ever made, and you do a sequel several decades later, how the heck do you do it? I rewatched Dr. Sleep recently, and it's made by someone who does not have brain damage. It has that going for it. It's made by somebody who has artistic vision and a passion and a love and a reverence for the source material.
Well, you could also say the reason for making Dr. Sleep is a good idea. Like, it's like, oh, there was a book made from it, and there's like people like, they're like, oh, this is a good idea, let's turn it.
Even more simple than that, there is an idea behind it.
Right.
Or just Exorcist Believer, where it's just like,
yeah,
let's pay $400 million to get rights to make a franchise out of this thing that
there is
people know.
literally no concept behind this movie. It is just, we bought this franchise and we need a movie.
David Gordon Green had to make a movie.
Yes.
Do something. Do we have a possession script just lying around that we can just turn into an Exorcist movie? It's like, yeah, here's this one. It's about two girls. That's fucking cool. Oh, jeez. Put Reagan's name in there. Do they ever see it? Does it have any resonance? No, the audience sees it. It's all that matters. And then put the mom in there. Then get her out of there.
I gotta go eat poop some more.
You know how much her Ellen Burstyn's salary is? We gotta get her for like 2 scenes and that's it. Knock her out in a day. Dr. Sleep can be literally dissected piece by piece to examine how to do it properly. because none of the callbacks to the original are like, oh, what does that have to do with anything? It's
They
always
also just cast people that look like them instead of CGI.
Yeah.
And they cast people that look like them. They cast actors.
That's a sidebar. They just cast actors like that. That's refreshing to see.
They cast actors and everything about. And if you watch Doctor Sleep, especially because I watched the director's cut, which is like 3 hours, it's stylistically like because I just watched The Shining earlier this month. It feels like The Shining because every shot is this wide, long.
They try to continue the lineage.
There's very slow fades.
That's the
like
thing
The Shining. It
with
makes
this
you.
movie.
It's not just every single shot's a close up and then it cuts to a hand and then it cuts to
cut as you're grabbing it. It's
that's
like
that's the thing that's so
example.
I want cereal. I'm gonna have to make it if I want to eat it.
This cereal's stale.
So weird is why not take The Exorcist and take that and be like, this is how we're gonna make this movie now.
Yeah.
And you could argue like, oh, modern audiences don't want to see that, but it's like,
and
how did Dr. Sleep do?
It didn't do great. Financially, the critical reception was fantastic because they did everything they were supposed to do, paying enough homage, but not to the point where you're like, oh, this is just doing The Shining again, but it's worse because there's nothing in it that is trying to replicate The Shining directly. It's like, so you're not comparing it.
I think with both The Exorcist and The Shining, though.
Same thing.
But I think that there are certain franchises that don't have the same kind of sequel pull.
Oh, for sure, yeah. The Shining has never had a sequel. That was it.
I'm a fan of The Shining, and I'll be honest,
It's also not called The Shining 2, it's called Dr. Sleep.
I don't love Dr. Sleep as much as other people sitting next to me. When I first heard about it, I was just like, I don't want to see that at all because I don't want there to be a sequel to The Shining. And that's kind of how I felt like I ended up watching The Exorcist 2 and 3, and I'm glad I did. But I know for the longest time, the reason I put them off was just because I was like, I love The Exorcist. I don't want a sequel. I don't want the original to be tarnished by a sequel that it doesn't need. And so
it's like every franchise for me, dude. It's like
But then in the decay, there are movies like Exorcist.
Yeah, but sometimes it's just all decay.
Oh no, I'm not saying there isn't, but I'm saying
you guys forced me to watch the Jurassic Park movies. I wanted to keep it just one Jurassic Park movie. You guys forced me.
Like you weren't gonna watch Jurassic World.
I wasn't. No, I literally was never going to.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, you're saying that like Jurassic Park 2 and Jurassic Park 3 are the two best movies I've ever made.
So, you guys, every time you say Believer, it hits a little pet peeve of mine. I think the movie should have been called Unbeliever. So like one of my pet peeves is...
did you like it?
No. It's my favorite.
No, but it's your favorite.
Okay, original Exorcist. Still never watched it. But in it, at the beginning part, the mom is just trying to like take her to psychiatric treatment, right?
Well, the mom's an atheist.
Yes.
In the original movie.
Yes. But that's my point is you could still do a soft reboot and you have the main character be an atheist because that's a much more common thing now.
Yes.
And so you're taking the kid in to see a psychologist and all of this, and the main character is an unbeliever.
Yes.
And the demon is mocking that.
Chris McNeil is not religious, but she's also not like an atheist. She's an atheist in the terms of like she doesn't believe, but she's not going around saying to other people like God's stupid or anything.
She's not a militant.
Like, yeah, they're probably.
And so when she does eventually seek out a priest, it's not like this is stupid necessarily. It's more that just like I don't think this will work, but she's at the
this is it. I have
my
no
last
idea
resort.
what to do.
Whereas they have
last resort.
an opportunity with this new character where lean into it further. They're calling it believer or unbeliever or whatever. I do like unbeliever. Lean into him being an asshole atheist. They give him that stupid scene that I hate that they have to do with every bad written atheist in a movie where he says that my daughter, wife, grandmother, mother, insert important character to me, died and God didn't save them. Do you think God would do that? It's such a stupid trope that it's in God's Not Dead! That stupid Christian movie made by Christians!
What happened to you?
You don't believe in God?
I don't believe in the question.
When a 12-year-old watches his mother dying of cancer, it's only natural to beg God for her life.
I learned the Lord's Prayer. I learned the Apostles' Creed. What'd I get? Got to watch my wife die. Watch them cut my baby girl out of her stomach, and now I gotta...
Sometimes the answer is no.
Tell that to me the day you lose someone you love.
Mr. Fielding, the way I see it, that makes your daughter a miracle.
I didn't realize he hated that so much.
It's just such a stupid trope, and if you pay attention,
Fuck you, I'll put my trash wherever I want it.
It's specifically a trope in Christian movies. If you watch Christian movies,
It's very
the atheist is always a huge tool, and the reason they hate God is not because they don't believe. It's because God fucked them in some way, and they're
I
mad
used
at
to
God.
believe in God, and how could God exist if they didn't save person I love?
Connected to that, so
therefore I love hating God. From every time.
Well, and then at the end they have to get hit by a car and say they do believe by
Okay, that's just God's Not Dead, but...
Are you willing to put your faith in Jesus Christ?
Yes. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Like and comment if you want a review of God's Not Dead.
Oh, we'll fucking do it, dude. We'll do the whole trilogy.
There's
three? They haven't figured it out yet?
Listen, sorry, I went on a rant, Keegan, I apologize.
But no, that's actually a really good point for Unbeliever. What you could structure as is the father is a militant atheist, and the daughter is a Christian because the mom was, and she inherited the mom's faith. She has the mom's crucifix or whatever.
He doesn't buy into it.
He doesn't buy it.
But he doesn't want to take that away from her.
But you're faking it to try to make me believe in God.
But he's like, I don't believe it. I think it's stupid. You're wasting your time. But it's your connection to your mom, so I'm going to drive you to your fucking Bible study.
Maybe that's what they can playfully argue about in their film.
That would be a character.
And that's why I'm saying it.
No, he likes pictures.
And he kind of doesn't believe in God because he has one conversation.
That is
She's vegan.
That is like your character is Sonic the Hedgehog. It's like he goes fast and he likes chili dogs. That makes him three-dimensional. His favorite food is mac and cheese, and he takes pictures.
He eats ice cream for breakfast.
He eats ice cream for breakfast. He's a three-dimensional character.
But then you have a struggle. You have something where the dad's an atheist. He doesn't believe that she's possessed by a demon. And then towards the end, then it becomes a...
and the best Exorcist movies, the best scenes in the Exorcist movies are also usually just scenes of two people talking about subjects like this. Like Exorcist 3, the best parts of it are literally just the two like guys sitting around talking about like the nature of evil, why God would do so. Like
how can there be a God in a world where so many awful things happen like this? And it's not just someone saying it; it's back and forth. It's two different viewpoints that are figuring out together. There's literally a line in this movie where Ann Dowd, I know the actress's name, at the end she's like, "Do you know what evil is? I'll tell you what I think evil is." And I'm like,
"What do you think evil is?" "I'll tell you what I think it is."
She didn't answer. Do you not know what fucking conversations are? David Gordon Green? Discuss thematically. People don't go on speeches to talk about things thematically. It's a conversation that's worked out between people. That's how you bury it.
The two people that are possessed, it's protagonist's daughter
and then other girl.
And the other family, they're like a super Christian
Pentecostal
family. It's such an interesting concept if you just separate David Gordon Green from it, because
it should have been more divisive.
It should have been more divisive. And what if they tried to perform an exorcism before the
like
finale?
Themselves?
Yeah, like
and they get their fucking head snapped in half.
Something
they
like
tried
that.
to, and she's like, "Yeah, so my wife died last night." We tried to figure this one out.
If something
one of the
happens,
parents dies.
Because, in the original Exorcist, not to compare it too much, but it is a remake of The Exorcist. In the original Exorcist, somebody dies before, like, in the midway point of the movie. And you don't see it happen. That's another great thing that The Exorcist, all the good Exorcist movies do.
Is that Exorcist talk about it, and it builds up atmosphere.
You almost never see anything happen in The Exorcist 1 and 3. In The Exorcist 1, you see all the exorcism happen, but like there's a full-on brutal death that is only ever told to you. Like you don't see it happening, and for some reason that makes it scarier. The fact that someone is just like, no, his head was completely turned around
all the way around. We found him at the
degrees.
bottom of the stairs.
Like there's something so eerie about that. Because you picture it. It's scarier in your head than when you see a stupid guy go like... If they set up these two characters, they're religious, he's not. And he's being polite about it at first because he just got his daughter back. He was scared that she's missing. It's this big traumatic thing. And he's like, I don't want any more conflict. He already had conflict with these people. But if as it keeps going, he can't keep it in anymore. And so like that could have been a moment where this woman walks up and says it's possession. And maybe he like freaks out on her like in that moment. And it's this kind of bigger... Like he's been so reserved trying to keep what he wants to say about the religious stuff.
It's not possession.
It's not possession. That's it, like maybe he even gets mean about it where he's like, your faith is stupid. Like
you're stupid for thinking this. Yeah, clearly there's just something wrong with her psychologically.
Maybe they're saying like, we need your daughter to perform this ritual. Like they're really pushing to do something and he's like fighting against it. Like if it was more conflict driven.
To be honest with you, sir, I didn't even know our daughter
Catherine
was
is a free spirit.
With your daughter.
She is a popular kid.
If I did, this
she
would
is
not be the
well-liked.
first time we would
She
meet,
is
I promise you
a
that.
youth group leader at our church, ma'am. You know?
Sometimes there's things as parents we don't know.
We don't know you!
What you know about me is that the only thing that's ever mattered is protecting my kid. That's what you know about me.
Well, then where are they?
They just don't like him, and it's alluded to the fact that like he's black and they're white. At least that's how I picked up on it. Like they just don't like him for no reason, and I'm only assuming that because David Gordon Green's writing
David Gordon Green can't write anything that's below the surface.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be on the surface.
He tries, man. It's just it's concrete.
Yeah, and so
he
like,
can't break through.
It's like why?
It's like, why do these characters not like each other? Well, his skin color.
That's what I think.
The surface.
And I'm just like, that could, in a good writer's hand, that could be something below the surface. If it comes out,
you can't get there.
As
or you can't get there.
Do you have a submarine?
I don't have a submarine.
That the movie is also terrified to death of drama. There are so many moments that I was like, you could just rip open this scab here and just let this breathe for a few minutes. Like when they say, oh, you have to choose one daughter or the other. All that happens is they just look at each other.
You must choose, or both girls die.
I won't choose.
We can't choose.
At that moment, the movie should have turned into the thing. Like it should have just turned into like literally
12 Angry Men.
That Christian pro-life people would have been like, hey, you freaking didn't choose your daughter. You know, I just heard her fucking say it. You're a piece of shit. Our daughter's a good Christian girl. She's never done anything wrong. She deserves to fucking live. Also, and they just start going head to head.
Your daughter tricked mine into committing
committing
your
this
daughter's
thing.
fault.
Right,
Yep.
and then that goes back and forth. He's like, she would have never done anything like that. We're close, blah, 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 blah.
It's like the end of Dark Knight.
Everyone just starts turning on each other because now this new stake has been introduced. They have not been able to stop the demon.
It would be a bigger moment and a bigger pull in the movie if I was like, I know this guy he hardcore does not believe in this. He hardcore believes that this has to be something scientific that can be proven. And by the point where it's like, this is not, it doesn't matter what you believe, and that's what makes it scarier. It doesn't matter what you believe. There's a monster that is in your daughter.
Well, and
you know,
he should have kept that mentality going towards the end. Like he
into
says
the
yes
end of the movie,
to the
that
exorcism way too fast. For someone that doesn't believe, he lets 4 billion people come into his house to perform every spiritual ritual on the face of the earth.
Yeah, it turns out if you have all these rituals and you add them together, they actually multiply and they have a stronger result.
Oh, God.
Yeah, fuck this fucking movie.
Ultimately, it had to be more concrete. It had to be more, he doesn't believe and then he does, or he doesn't believe and then now he's questioning it.
Yeah.
So we have that scene where they have the mic drop scene where What's-Her-Face shows up his neighbor and is like, by the way, this is totally real and here's evidence. He shouldn't believe at that point. He should believe when that evidence comes to him. Like when there's something that he literally cannot explain. He's been able to explain his way out of it this entire time.
Yeah, he's a terrible skeptic.
Yeah,
He's a terrible skeptic because he believes everything.
And then at some point, it's like there is no other explanation, which is this is just The Exorcist. That's just what The Exorcist is about. Where the whole time it's like until there's literally no option.
I say like we're already buying that we're just making a remake. You know, like if you're accepting that,
all I'm saying is I'm realizing as I'm speaking the way to make this better is if you would have just done
made it
The
more like
Exorcist, because The Exorcist did have all that. That is what The Exorcist is.
talk about the fucking exorcism?
Last things last.
Third things third.
The protagonist doesn't necessarily want to go through with the exorcism. The Christian family is kind of like, exorcism, and then, his neighbor's also like, exorcism.
And best friend.
It's the funniest fucking. It's actually the closest to a David Gordon Green scene in the movie. He gets home. This is when in the beginning.
Be fine with me breaking into your house.
His daughter is still missing, and he comes home, and the door's unlocked, and he's like, daughter? And he goes through the house, and he gets to her room, and there's a light on, and he slowly starts to open it. And then there's a jump scare, of course.
There's a woman there, and I was like, oh, watch, like she's gonna be fucking gone in the next scene. Like, that'd
something
be
spooky.
That'd be freaky, right? And then immediately his friend walks in, oh, hey, buddy.
Hey, Victor. Oh, good, you're home. This is my friend, Dr. Beehive. This is okay.
We want her to
She's doing a blessing on the room. That's all. Just to keep Angela safe.
I'm your best friend.
We only boxed once, and that never comes back.
What if he boxed the demon?
At least that would have been funny.
And hitting his daughter.
And
Power of Christ compels you.
He meets this woman who is just in his house, and his best friend is like, sorry, I thought you'd be fine with me breaking into your home while your daughter's missing. And all of us unanimously, when that line happened, looked at each other like, why would anybody be okay with that? Like, why would...
fuck?
Break into my house, please.
To do something religious while I was gone?
She is
I don't know what she is.
She's a witch doctor.
She's a witch doctor. We have a theory about this. Because she's a witch doctor, but she's also like Christian. She reveals that like she started off as a Christian, and she started getting into,
she started off as like a medical doctor of some sort. She said what she was.
An oncologist. She was an oncologist first, and then she started getting into spiritualism, and now she's like a Christian that also believes in like kind of Wiccan / like pagan / like old African.
Yeah, she claims it's Afro-Caribbean medicine.
She puts leaves into things.
She puts leaves into things.
Has magic potions.
Yeah, she goes like this.
Luckily, I'm sure this movie was written by somebody that with a lot of knowledge of those other cultures.
Yeah. Of course.
Hollywood's very famous for it.
David Gordon Green, I'm sure he did so much research before writing a character like this, and
he didn't even watch a 2-hour movie to make this movie.
The reason this is relevant is because our protagonist decides, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in the Catholic God. I don't believe in anything. But this witch doctor lady, she's the reason I'm going to do this exorcism.
She did blow on some leaves.
My wife actually, she watched that scene where they talked, and she was like, oh, is he going along with it because he thinks she's attractive? And I was like, no, I don't think that's what's happening. But as it was going, I was like, that would have been better. Like, if it was something more petty like that, and like he did just kind of have a thing for her.
I believe you. I believe you.
I believe you.
You know what? I believe you.
Or it's just like, no, she's right.
You know what? I've always wondered about the existence of these things.
You know, I've had a lot of supernatural encounters myself.
Yeah, like that would have been a funny character. It wouldn't have fit for the tone of the movie, like his daughter's possessed, but at least it would have been something.
We're looking for a pulse here in the movie.
And so I give all this setup just to set up the fact that they decide that everybody needs to come to the exorcism. It can't just be the Pentecostals. It can't just be the Catholics. It is also the witch doctor. Like literally everybody.
Would have been the perfect place to put Believer by Imagine Dragons. They get their cross.
First things first, and they're cracking open the cross is going on the fucking wall.
Seriousness, there's a fan edit coming to you soon called Exorcist Believer.
Believer.
All caps.
Exorcist Believer.
All caps. Believer. The Believer guy.
The mom from the original Exorcist, she has a comment that she makes where she's like, every culture has their own ceremony, and what's important is that you believe. And I'm like, the Catholic Church smacked a demon out of your little girl.
I do want to talk about this. So, you know, I was born and raised Catholic, genuine, went to Catholic school. I had to do the whole thing, went to Mass every week.
Makes a lot of sense.
And what does that mean?
Well, you just got a lot of Mass.
What it means.
Boom! So I grew up believing this stuff. You know, demons are this special classification of evil that I was taught that, like, even talking about this stuff is welcoming it in, and that could lead to bad things. And so there is this layer of like culture around it, and it's weird saying because they are Catholics, you know, it's easy to make fun of them because they are weirdos, but it is a specific thing, you know, like an exorcism is not, like, yes, they have demon banishing spells or rituals.
Are you trying to say, like, why are you taking this thing that they believe and making it this other thing?
It's not even that it's something they believe. It's something that's integral to the original story and to this franchise. Like, you can make random people expel demons using whatever methods they want in any other franchise, but we're talking about a movie that's called The Exorcist that is about Catholic exorcisms of Catholic demons. It's such a specific thing. And, you know, I'm not saying that, like, you can't do a movie that calls these things into question, but ultimately it should be one of the bedrocks of the horror.
I think
using that mythology.
A simple explanation is that David Gordon Green genuinely thinks The Exorcist is the demon. Because it sounds scary.
So what you're thinking is your culture got appropriated.
A little bit. I think that it's a little
Cultural
bit
appropriation. Cultural appropriation.
I think it's a little bit more cynical. It's very easy to see the hand of the committee when it's, okay, well, Catholics aren't cool anymore. Religion's not cool anymore. You know, religion was cool in the 70s. Religion's not really cool now.
So badass when they killed that demon with religion.
I just see that. I see the hand of, like, well, it has to be non-specific. We can't say that a specific culture is even, like, what culture exorcised the demon?
We can't say this culture exists.
We can't say that.
Especially if it's popular.
Well, no, we know what culture exorcised the demon. It was none of them. The demon won and left.
That's the
this is the big joke.
I do want to talk about that aspect of it, is that the demon just straight up wins at the end and no one cares. They're just like, oh, sweet.
So first of all, there isn't an exorcist in the movie, not really.
There's also not an exorcism in the movie.
There isn't an exorcism in the movie.
The demon sets them up with he's winning the entire time.
The demon sets up possibly the only
ass.
interesting moment in the movie where it's like you have to choose and you're kind of like, oh, the whole movie could have been based on this. Is the drama between the two families now having to try to choose or not choose, like, between their two daughters.
And you as the audience, you know that demons lie because you've seen a movie before.
That's part of the drama is you're just kind of like, well, no, we can't choose. We can't choose because the demon, we can't trust the demon.
You can't choose because the demon is either going to kill both of them or the opposite, because that's how demons work.
They just want us to fight.
That the devil lies.
They just want us to fight, but then they end up fighting anyway.
So are you telling me that the evil spirit, known for deceiving, lies?
And if I were in that situation, I would assume that, yes.
Yeah, but the dumb Trump supporter dad shows up and he's like, he doesn't lie.
The devil doesn't lie.
The devil doesn't lie.
What?
No, the devil wouldn't lie. No, he just said that he would let our daughter go if we chose her.
I know that's how it works. I choose you.
What if, cultural commentary, the Christian pastor isn't just boring Christian pastor guy? What if he's like a mega church, like they call the big guns? What if they call the Joel Osteen of their universe? Like the type of person that goes on TV and exorcises demons with his psychic powers through the television. Like what if that's,
Jesus, hell.
That could have been
What is
cool
happening here?
If they called, like they were like, no, don't worry.
Yeah, it has a little headphone
just
mic.
the guy for you. It is this guy. And he's got the big poofy hair. Like he's completely a fraud. And like, that could have been interesting.
He shows up in a helicopter, his own private helicopter.
His own private helicopter. Like that's the thing is like, the
that
movie,
would be hilarious.
The movie was so toothless.
There's no meat, there's no teeth, there's no nothing. It's just bland. There's no seasoning.
There's a scene where the white girl, she walks into, they take her to church, like the day after they find her, or whatever. It's like the scene after they find them and they bring them back home. They go to church, and she's obviously possessed. She looks like she has a demon inside of her. And they're sitting there listening to the sermon. They go up and they eat their crackers. And you're like, oh, this is such a good setup.
Dude, I buy them. The matzah bread.
Well, dude, listen, that's the biggest thing I miss about being religious is those crackers.
Free crackers, dude?
Fun fact, dude, you can always go back and you can just lie to them and say that you're a believer. They don't know.
They give you that
don't have a
free.
fucking sixth sense if you're a believer or not.
Do you want me to buy you? Well, it's not the little ones. It's the same type of bread. It's just like you can buy them. They don't even-
I want the little crackers with God on
You break it.
I want the God dip.
That is grape juice.
That I want a man to say that I'm eating God, dude. I want that flavor of God. It's such a great setup. She's walking through this church. She's clearly possessed by a demon. It's such a great setup for.
I was like, this is gonna be messed up. Whatever they're gonna do is gonna be so messed up.
Go insane. And then she just starts repeating one line. She just
She says the body and the blood.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
And she has not blood on her, but wine on her.
Well, wine on her.
And everyone's like, oh, the humanity.
Yeah.
Oh,
the humanity of the body and the blood.
And they're all upset.
3 when the first scene is you see the door open and the statue of Jesus opens its eyes.
Opens its eyes, yeah.
It's terrifying.
Or shocking stuff like her stabbing herself in the cooter with a crucifix. I was like, she's just gonna do that. If she does that at church in front of everybody, that's insane. That would be a good scene.
That's also even a very slight escalation of The Exorcist. If you're trying to be like, oh, it's
just make it
public.
even simpler. She just starts speaking very quickly in Latin. Like it's just
That would be a little bit better, but I wanted something horrific to happen.
I don't know if the Pentecostals use Latin.
But that's one of the that would be more specifically a reference to the Exorcist one of the classifications to call it demonic possession
they
is
speak
they
a language
speak a language that they didn't already know, which never happens. In fact, all of the rules that they set up in the Exorcist one for a demonic possession, they don't fucking meet.
Which is fucking ridiculous. They literally gave you rules. If you watch the movie, which they haven't, no one who made this movie saw The Exorcist.
The priest did say, he's like, well, I can't do it.
I didn't get permission.
He didn't get permission.
I thought he was lying.
Oh, I don't think so. I think it was just because they didn't fit the requirements.
You want something creepy? Have bugs get involved? Have like centipede crawl out of your ear?
Something should have happened that was messed up. I was waiting for that in that scene. The scene is building up to like, dude, this is gonna be so bad because this is in front of everybody. Like, this is no longer just a private matter with the family that's like, she's kind of acting weird. It's like, the demon doesn't care. Why is the demon just being...
Well, the demon should be like a kid in a candy shop. How often does a demon get to be in the house of God? Like,
and to fuck everybody up.
Yeah, to fuck her. I was thinking, like, this is such a great setup because if you're writing the demon as a character as well, which you should be...
you should call the pastor a cunt or something.
Yeah.
Like, just something.
Watch.
Cunt. Shut up, you lying cunt. You would have been like, oh my God.
Watch the Evil Dead movies for inspiration. Not necessarily in like the campiness, but like
if you've already seen The Exorcist first, but yes. But if you're about to make your Exorcist movie.
But if you can only watch one.
If you can only watch one, maybe watch, I don't know.
The Exorcist 2.
Army of Darkness. One of the things I always liked about the Evil Dead franchise is the Deadites are just pure evil.
Yeah.
They just say horrific, awful things.
And they're not just saying profanity for the sake of profanity. They're doing it to cause emotional and physical pain.
Yes.
They want suffering.
They want you to be distressed.
They don't care if it's physical or emotional or mental. They just want everyone to suffer because they're evil.
Yes.
And that's what I want in my demons. I want them to cause pain and suffering because they are evil spirits that want to cause more suffering.
So Keegan, this being your only Exorcist film to date.
Yes.
The best one.
That is something that the original, and you can argue Exorcist.
Oh, definitely Exorcist 3.
Abides by also. It is deliberately to hurt and to harm them. They say very specific things that they know will set you off, and it makes the act of exorcising or getting rid of it or moving past it very, 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 very hard.
Why is nobody filming the ending? This is such a small nitpick at this point. If I was in that room, even if it was my daughter, I would still be thinking, okay, I don't believe in exorcisms. I don't believe that this is a demon, but I don't know what else it could be. I'm playing along with this. And then as it goes, he's seeing stuff that is completely unbelievable. You know, I would be thinking, I should film this if only so that I have a record of it later. This is so crazy that someone should be filming this.
Even if we don't resolve this now, maybe someone can see this footage and resolve it.
Because this is insanity. And the whole exorcism is such a farce the entire time it's going poorly. No one is doing anything effectively. They're just throwing shit at the wall. The whole exorcism at the end is such a joke.
And the demon wins.
I choose you, Catherine!
I choose you, Catherine.
I actually like that it's a complete fuck up of an exorcism.
If it
was the first exorcism.
If there was two, yeah. Or if people died, like, if this movie was true to its source material, every single person in that room should have fucking died. Because it killed two people that literally, like, were the most prepared people to do something like that in the first
killed
movie.
them.
No, I would have liked the ending better if, because the demon won. If they would have just been like, oh shoot, the demon won. Like if there was any acknowledgement to that, and that was the point. But
instead they have this hopeful ending where they're like, you know what? I think the world's a great place.
And
especially where little girls die and go to hell. But you know what? That's okay. That's fine. You know what? I'll bet things are gonna get better.
They drag that poor girl.
Like the demon
they literally show her. They don't even give her a peaceful death. They show her going to hell.
Money put down that a sequel is going to be about trying
getting
to
her back.
save her.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
They're gonna deceive the demons.
Deceiver, dude.
What I actually was expecting during the exorcism is because the dad's so distraught, I was expecting him to offer himself in his daughter's place. Because they say you can only save one.
Yes.
And so him saying, okay, I'll take the demon of my daughter. She's the only thing I have left in this world. and then him choosing to sacrifice himself to save the other girl.
Yeah. That is what happens in a movie.
Well, but
came
you
out a
need
couple
a
years
character,
ago.
and you would have a character arc.
It's called The Exorcist.
Honestly, at this point, I would rather them just copy it and make it better.
That's what I've been saying this entire review. I think that this movie is like if a moron tried to remake The Exorcist, but they made every single bad decision. Like every choice was made incorrectly, because you can see the skeleton of them trying to remake The Exorcist, but they fail, and you find yourself just wishing that they made it more like The Exorcist.
It's just not entertaining at all.
Little stuff we
It's
didn't talk
boring.
about that I want to fire off real quick. The lead actor has potential. His character's so boring that it doesn't matter. And I would say that with most of the performers. Like, I don't think that any of the
I would say that with the
performers-
kids. Like,
oh, the kids were great,
like
actually. For being
for
demons.
what they had. Yeah, the kids did good.
The thing that is hurting this entire thing is just the writing and the directing.
And the fact that it exists.
I really didn't like this movie. And I rewatched The Exorcist one beforehand, and this movie was just such an embarrassment to get through. I felt insulted, frankly, as someone that really likes The Exorcist. And then the next day, I thought I should finally see The Exorcist 2 and 3, because I wanted to watch Exorcist 3, and you can't just skip Exorcist 2.
You can, I did it.
And so I watched both of them back to back. And after I watched Exorcist 2, I was like, you know what? I was a little too hard on Exorcist Believer. Not that much too hard.
Not that much.
But I was a little too hard, because I saw what the depths were, and I was like, she's so happy she loves you, dude. That's like the happiest cat I've ever seen.
I'm not even touching her.
She's
not
falling asleep,
acknowledging it.
standing up. She's.
Is it the worst Exorcist movie that I've seen? Yes, probably. Did I hate it? Yes, probably. Is it my least favorite David Gordon Green movie? Yes, probably.
Yeah.
I'd agree with all that.
And so because of that, I'm not going to do any jokes. This is a real rating. I am going to give this movie a negative 12 out of 12.
Another negative score.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
No goofs. No goof. I don't have it in me. I can't.
David Gordon Green said that he wished that William Friedkin was alive to see this movie.
He did not.
He should be
say
thanking.
that.
Yeah, he did. He should be thanking his
Take
lucky
that
stars.
back, you bitch. Take that back.
He should be thanking his lucky stars that he is not.
Well, if he was still alive to see it,
That
he
is
would
the
not
worst
be by
thing.
the end of the movie. He would have had a heart attack watching it.
That is one of the worst things that anyone has said.
He said, "I really hope."
The arrogance to say that one. He thinks that Exorcist Believer, possibly the worst movie ever. The movie that
He wants to know his opinion.
ripped off
That's-
and
he
didn't
wants to
even
know his
pay attention
opinion.
to at all.
He looked up, man. If William Friedkin was still alive, yeah, was still alive. Yeah, that was it.
He recently died too, right?
Yeah, it was only within the last year. Yeah, he's very lucky that William Friedkin was not alive to see it, because he would have told him that you're an asshole and I hate you.
He would have beat the crap out of him for saying
As
that.
a 90-year-old man, yeah, he would have.
He would have karate chopped him.
To echo Alec, Believer is very lucky also that there is a worse Exorcist movie than it.
I don't know if it's worse. I'm
Not
still,
by much. That's why I said it's lucky because it is by a slim.
I think I enjoy
slim margin.
more things in Exorcist 2. Like I laugh about Exorcist 2. I don't laugh as much about Believer.
No, I don't want. I will never watch either again. So
That's fair. What poop is smellier?
What poop is smellier? Exactly, which is why I gotta give it an 8 out of 10. Because frankly, it wasn't that bad, all things considered. You know,
Camera was on.
I think if you've never watched The Exorcist, you'd like it. You know, Keegan didn't, but someone could.
Yeah. So Keegan, as someone that has never seen The Exorcist, you are a general horror fan.
Yes.
You are not beholden to the
I
franchise.
have seen other movies that have exorcisms in them. I have seen just a broad variety. I've never watched the original Exorcist. This was boring. It was bland. It's forgettable. It's offensively bland, and I'm never gonna watch it again. It's my favorite Exorcist movie so far. I'm giving it 12 out of 12 space eggs.
you go, 12 out of 12. That's a positive
This
score.
movie
so
had
far.
4 screenwriters behind it. So we keep describing David Gordon Green as the screenwriter, but this really was a committee movie.
Well, it took 4 of those people to actually like learn to spell all the words correctly and write them down. David Gordon Green was like, but I don't know how to write.
One of those is credited as a screenwriter, but his entire job was just figure out how to use the spell check function in Microsoft Word, where they wrote the.
Now, see, what's this red squiggly line? It's actually under all the words.
Oh, it's
what does it mean?
It's because you actually keep misspelling the word.
You're actually not writing any real words. This is gibberish.
I don't believe that. I think they did an alternative writing strategy where each of the screenwriters watched 1/4 of The Exorcist. And then they decided to translate that into the new movie.
They all watched 1/4, but they had to choose which
and they had one day to write it.
I feel like I have nothing else to say about this movie. I'm just so sick of it being in my mind, in my mouth, as Will Smith would say. It should have never been made. They shouldn't make a sequel. They're going to. We'll watch it. We'll review it.
You know why?
We'll be here.
The only solace I can take from that is that we're at least suckling the nectar a little bit out of the movie and making a video about it. There's at least some sort of joy I can get out of that, where it's like we're using it for content.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just miserable that it exists.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna give it a 0. 0 out of 12.
Wow. That's
so positive score.
It's a positive score.
0.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10. 8 out of.
So 8 out of 46. That's a positive score. It's not negative.
It's not negative.
It's not a negative score.
Yeah, it's not a negative score.
I am curious what grade it gets. That's a 17%.
That's a positive score. It's over 0.
17%.
Yep, that's 17%. That's a 17%. That is
Boom.
a failing grade,
Yeah,
but
you
it
were
is
not passing. But it is positive.
But it is a positive score. It's not a negative score.
That's a positive score.
Mathematically, it is not negative.
This movie, if it confirms anything, it confirms that David Gordon Green is an expert at blowjobs.
Yeah.
We were speculating.
I'm not speculating.
I'm saying this confirms it.
I can tell by the way he directs that guy's good at sucking
he's
dicks.
so good.
He's so good at sucking cock.
yeah.
My theory is with all of this, I think David Gordon Green, his mouth is super soft. He's got 2 qualities.
Very soft.
I think he also
He uses his tongue a lot too, I bet.
I think he also moved no teeth. No teeth.
No, he takes those out.
Those are detachable.
They're veneers.
I think he has 2 good qualities. It's his mouth. I think he's also good at moving fast. I think he jumped on the Halloween 2018 6. I'm sure he made all of these deals to make the Halloween trilogy and this before Ends was even. Oh yeah, or Kills was even out.
Yeah, they were talking about it, and he had already unzipped everyone's pants at the meeting.
Oh, he's also very quick with his hands.
That's what I'm saying. He's very quick, like, and
Yeah,
he was already on the first guy.
Yeah, they were talking. I think
He was already done with the first guy, dude.
He was gumming like it was tomorrow.
It's just like, yeah, who do you think we could get for this movie? And it like cuts to each guy's like, yeah, I don't know. Cuts to the last guy, and he's like, I know exactly who we can get. I know exactly the man for the job.
The man with
And
no
then
teeth.
who's and
The man with no
off screen? You hear who would that be? The next guy's already.
It's the Dave
I know
with the-
exactly who you're thinking.
It's the Dave with the double G.
Oh god.
So we're all in agreement, right?
We're all in agreement.
We're all in agreement. We're all in agreement.
Thank you for watching our review of The Exorcist Believer.
Last things last.
Last things last. Well, we did it. That was the review. We made it.
Hey!